but Matt called me today and he's like, I'm going through the presentation. I'm thinking of pivoting in this direction. And of course, I trust him. He has the vision. He is the reason why I have my business today and am running it the way I am. And he actually helped me form Meant for More and my coaching program before that. So without further ado, Matt, thank you so much for joining us in this space.
Let's dive into it. So in 2020, I found myself at a low point in life and business. I had already started my business. I was at this low point of like just grinding away, getting some business here and there, but it being unpredictable. And I was just, my health was running out, my energy was running out, my bank account was running out, and I was like, something needs to switch here. Funny enough, I found myself in the office of a Reiki practitioner, and I expected it to look something like this, but what I actually went into was something like this. It was this crazy, like, dungeness lair, and my roommate had just signed me up. It was all perfect. It was so divine. And like, as I'm speaking to Reiki master, she's like cutting through me like butter. Like she just she knew me better than I could actually. I knew myself, and it was really cool to experience this level of like someone who knows me, can see my blocks better than I can. So I laid down on the table, and she started doing her magic, which I thought was magic at the time. And like some weird stuff happened, as I'm sure has happened maybe with your meditations with Devin. She's doing some of her remote work. Felt energy moving. I felt like visuals flash before my eyes, and kind of out of nowhere, my back just started to like lock up, and then it started to like release, and then I just my back arched, and pretty much every single vertebrae in my back cracked open, like not cracked open, but cracked, and I just started to like get like just light pouring in, all these downloads, and really just an incredible experience. It was like it was like I was like in a cage before this, and after this, like my world just opened up. I like to show, I walked in like this, and I came out like feeling like that. And what I felt in this moment, this was the first time I'd ever felt what I described to be true freedom. Like, felt free in my body, free in my soul, free in my mind. It was this feeling that I've never felt before. And what I really felt like I'd been given this download and received guidance that like, Matt, your work from here is to align your work with your true nature and align your life with your highest potential. It's to clarify what you really want, understand what things are limiting you, and center in on your superpower, your innate gifts, your natural way of being to propel that vision. And it was such a clear directive that I couldn't deny it. And that is where I went from here. And that was the foundational formula through which I started living and building my business on. And that's what we're going to walk through today. And so, getting into the vision portion, when I was young, this is my fifth grade, in TJ, for the Morristown people, we were, I forget who my teacher was. We were asked to write like your autobiography. And I guess I wrote that I had a plan to become the richest man in the world. So I had a big vision even when I was younger. But when I got into college and an internship, I found myself in a bioengineering internship as doing data input. And it was just the furthest thing away from what I envisioned for my life that I ever could imagine. It was during this internship, I was listening to Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Work Week. And Tim was talking about how he had won national dancing competitions in Argentina, won kickboxing in China, and like how his buddy was like quit his corporate job and started like photographing models in Brazil. And he had his own supplement company. It was like, oh my God, this is what I need to be doing. I need to be realigning my life with like this. I need to like live my life by own my design. And from here, that learning, that experience, just hearing about these stories really reoriented my arrow to I need to figure out how as soon as possible I can escape this system that I found myself in, start my own business, optimize my life, and live at the beach and surf every day. How can I do that? That was my question in my mind. And so immediately I was like, all right, how can I go from this engineering place to entrepreneurship? How can I get the skills, the confidence? How can I understand who I am and what I need to in order to actually be an entrepreneur? And so from this moment, I started to make every decision and do everything in my power to realign my life, my energy, and my actions with owning a business, living with freedom, and making that impact that I was here to make. And so, if we're looking at the hero's journey, I'm on this side here, down here, of going through all the trials and tribulations to eventually get to that rock bottom and eventually get to the place where I gave my gifts. But it was, getting into a great school, getting to a great consulting firm, starting my own brand, starting to do some independent consulting work, becoming the owner of a coaching business, not my own business, joining a coaching business and getting ownership. And through this process of just starting to work towards that vision, I got even clearer on the vision of what I truly, truly, truly wanted out of life. And it was to use my natural strengths to make my greatest impact and to live an exceptional lifestyle. For me, the non-negotiables, like what I put in place I knew that if I set the bar super, super high and I missed the target, I'd still end up in a really, really amazing place. So for me, the non-negotiables were time and location freedom. It was having my house designed how I truly envisioned, having a gym at my house, a sauna, the content room. That was something I envisioned, and it's here now. Being able to travel the world, get speaking gigs, get paid for teaching, and really start to just build this business that allows me to create impact, freedom, fulfillment, fun, forever. And the more clear I got in my target, the more I could actually build the pathway to get there. And that is the power of vision. And I know a lot of the work you've been doing with Devin has been like letting go of what's not you, become who you truly are, and live that life that you actually want for yourself. And that's one of the beautiful powers of vision. It's having that actual target, and it's having clear inspiration. And when it comes to clarifying what it is we truly want, we're going to get into that, and I'm going to be really interested to hear your answers. It's important to tune into what we truly want, not the things that impress others, not what we're supposed to want, not the material and surface level things, but actually who are the people, what are the things, where are the places that will allow us to actually feel our best, to live our best, to give our best, and to be truly us and maximize this human experience. So if you have a pen and paper on you, or a computer, whatever is easiest for you to take notes, I'd love you to take the next 3 minutes to journal from the depths of your being. And I'm sure you've done something similar with Devin. And I think the beautiful thing here is that we now have an opportunity to realign, to look at, compared to what we came in wanting, what do we actually want now? So this is a beautiful opportunity to be with yourself, to be with your pen and paper, and to write from a stream of consciousness. What is it that you truly want? And you can use these starter prompts if you'd like. I want to experience, I want to feel, I want to be. And be as specific as you can. I'll give you a few minutes from here. Take about 30 more seconds. I'd love to hear from anyone who would like to share how what you wrote down is different, similar, how it compares to a couple months ago when you started with Devin.
I can go. Mine is very different from what I said. 'Cause I think what I had said when Devin asked last this question was something like, I want creative freedom and the money to do it. But now I wrote about how I want to change people's perspectives and help heal other people based through my own experience, which is very different. It kind of changed from like a me perspective, like it's all about me, to wanting to like actually help others instead.
Cool. Super cool. It sounds like you'll get that first thing as a byproduct of the thing now. Any other shares?
I'll go.
Jen.
I think mine changed from like kind of being thrown into this like spiritual journey, not really knowing what I'm doing, and like it being way more focused now, and I can write out kind of what I want and the vision for it and how I want to feel, as opposed to before I was like flailing. So I feel much more centered.
Cool. That's awesome. So rather than just the stuff being different, it's like you're so much more confident in the process and yourself and knowing what it is that you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's huge. Cool. Thank you. We'll keep going. We got some more prompts. And one thing, just to give some context and step back here, is yes, we're talking through a story, and yes, we're going to go through some journal prompts, but what you can actually think about this from a meta perspective as well is this process that we're going to walk through is a process through which you can use to solve any problem, to really tune into exactly what you want, exactly what's in the way, and tune in to what the solution is from there. So just another layer of what you can start to wrap your awareness around as we go through this. And here's where it starts to get interesting. I started working towards that vision. And also I realized to orient you to the time scales here, that Reiki session I talked about, that was in the future, and now we're in the past. So just so we're aware of where we are in the universe and scope of time. As I dove into my vision, I thought that the way that I lived, the way I worked, would be the way that would get me to where I wanted to be. And so I started going, when I got into entrepreneurship, I started applying the old ways of thinking through everything, working as hard as possible, using sheer willpower and force. And my daily routine was something like this. Oh, cool, this video is going to work. I actually was so intense. I had a treadmill desk so I could work out while I worked. I was wild, like ridiculously intense. So focused on like nonstop working out. That was just complete life. Lots of coffee, not a lot of sleep. I would literally just program my brain into the future, program my brain into everything I need to do tomorrow, day after. I was a machine. And it got my business going. But as you can imagine, from a lifestyle like this, I didn't think so back then. I thought I was invincible. I started to burn out. I started to feel super stressed. And now we're getting into that part of the belly of the whale, that rock bottom of being foggy, fatigued, easily triggered. it was a point where I just could not continue living in the way that I was living. And I was forced to question everything about my body, my business. I thought keto diet was the way. I thought CrossFit was the way. I thought working 80 hours a week was the way. And the universe showed me that this was not the way, Matt. And so I started searching, started seeking, found Dr. Joe, found Tony Robbins, and started applying these learnings of really manifestation. And I know you learned a bit from Avery about manifestation, of how you can tune into the future and tune into the feelings of the future and bring those feelings into the present moment to start to magnetize that future to you. And I started doing that and started working pretty well. I started really living in a way that was in alignment with that greatest future. Things started to work. I started applying these teachings. I launched the first version of my program, started to get one-on-one clients, built the gym at my house. And really the pinnacle for me was I landed 2 clients on the beach in Costa Rica, like 15K in a day. It was just like, this was the dream for me. And this was one of my favorite pictures from it. I think this picture is a beautiful depiction of where I was, because on the outside, this all looks awesome and successful and, oh, cool photo. But if you zoom in here, I was super stressed. I actually, if I got real with myself of what this year was like, yes, it was the most exciting year of my life by far, but it was full of sprints and burnouts. Although I made 6 figures, my profit was negative. And deep down, I wouldn't admit it, but I was stressed, anxious. I was living by what I should do, and my nervous system was like just jacked up. And if I got real about business, I didn't know where my next client was coming from. Somehow they came, but I didn't know where they were coming from. And this was an exciting way to live, but it was not a sustainable way to be. I knew something was out of alignment. I didn't know where. I knew I was leaving potential on the table, but I didn't know how. And yeah, I knew there was something deep within me. This led me to my spiritual journey. I knew there was something deep within me that led me to be living in the way I was living, feeling the way I was feeling, but I couldn't nail down those root limiters. And so that is exactly what led me into that Reiki room. And so now let me get into actually what happened in this room. I started sharing with the Reiki master about how I was stressed, how I wasn't living with balance, I wasn't present, I was trying to do it all alone, I was worried about money. I couldn't make decisions without research and asking other people. Getting into the session, here's what I saw on the table. I saw my life flash before my eyes, and I started to really see life with my dad. I started to see life as a kid. I saw all the things we did together, and then I tuned into that moment that my mom had told me that he passed away. And I started to see how that moment shifted everything in my life from that moment. How from that moment, my life was governed by a new program. A program that was trying to get me to live life in a way that would make my dad proud. And so, and that was I had that program within me for 13 years before I realized it. And so I realized that I was living from a place of trying to prove, trying to make proud, trying to be good enough and feel good enough. And yes, that led me to awesome achievements. It led me to have a crazy work ethic. It led me to never being able to feel satisfied, never feeling good enough. And I realized in that moment on that table with Summer that if I kept acting from this place, I kept acting from a place of lack and insecurity, what do you think I'd get in life? A lot more lack and insecurity. And so it was in this moment where I got that download that really my mission was given to me, just to get into this system here, determine what are all these other influences and let go of them, become my highest, truest self, to build my life in alignment with my own design and make my greatest impact. That started the journey. And so from there, I put all of my resources into that journey, into understanding myself, mastering myself, bringing on tons of coaches, and really any modality that could help me unlock new energy, to move beyond limitation, to better understand myself so that I can apply that understanding to the world. I invested in it. And what I started to see as I went down this journey was that I had fears and insecurities and blockages within me. And within those blockages, I had stuck emotions. And those stuck emotions in the body were causing tension and anxiety in the mind. I really just started to see how mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and energetic limiters within me were holding me back in all facets of my life. I wouldn't be able to hit my full potential if I had these hard limitations, these blocks within me. And here's what I realized about impact. That impact is not about doing more. Impact is about letting go of more. Impact is not about working harder, finding the right strategy, or biohacking my energy, as I once thought. Impact is about releasing limitations within the system. If you imagine like a funnel, we're putting energy into the system, energy's coming out of the system, energy's flowing. If we just dump more stuff on top of it, is that going to change the flow speed? It won't. But what if we remove the bottleneck? If we cut out the biggest limiter in the system, then boom, we get exponentially more flow. So that started how I started to think about my own energy, my own impact. It wasn't about where can I go, what can I do, how can I get more, how can I do more. It's about what is limiting me, what's the bottleneck in my system, what's the bottleneck in my strategy, how can I remove that bottleneck, unlock a new capacity, and use that capacity for anything I wanted. Start asking myself, what is the biggest limiter to myself and humans? And from the perspective, I just view things often through the lens of entrepreneurship, because that's the world I live in. And I ask myself, what's the number one thing limiting entrepreneurs from impact, fulfillment, and freedom? Because you see so many entrepreneurs get into business, wanting impact, doing it for freedom, doing fulfillment, but very, very few actually achieve all of these simultaneously. Some will achieve freedom at some point. Some will achieve impact at some points. Some will be fulfilled sometimes, but it's very rare to find someone or a company that's got all three of these continuously, sustainably. And so I had a hypothesis going through this work that there's a reason why entrepreneurs and humans in general, when doing the work they do, stay trapped in anxious minds, stay trapped in negative thought patterns, stay trapped, have stagnant energy, trapped by a bank balance, trapped in hustle and grind, ultimately not reaching their fullest potential and impact and freedom. And here's what I believe that this limiter is. It's that your business, your work, your career is a reflection of you, and you're a reflection of your nature and your nurture. Your unique genetics that were given to you by your mom and your dad and your ancestors, your genetic line, but then your nurture, your experiences, everything you've done, you've seen, you've heard, felt, has brought you to this point. You're a combination of that. Meaning, we're also a combination of we are a reflection of our pain, our insecurities, and our traumas. And it's often that from these traumas, we develop survival strategies. And it's our survival strategies that develop our default operating system. Is this making sense, Mark? And so one thing I've learned is that the default operating system of most people, while we might think it's driven by a big goal or driven by a vision, we're really driven, our behaviors are really driven, most of us, most of the time, are driven by subconscious strategies that we've learned when we were younger, enabling us to fit in, to hide, to be liked, to stay away from rejection, to stay alive and survive. And it's these strategies which lead to unintended struggle. So here are some examples. This is literally, I just wrote down my survival strategy blueprint here. So I used to fear not knowing what to say, and I don't know where all these came from. But what I do know is I used to fear not knowing what to say. So I learned how to prepare every word. So I always knew what to say. And I'd like you here to start tuning into your own if you have had these or are aware of current ones. I used to fear not being liked. I didn't know that at the time. But then I learned to say the right thing so that they liked me. I feared loss and betrayal. I know where that one comes from. So my survival strategy was to do it alone so I can't be betrayed or lose. So no one can hurt me. I used to fear the unknown. So I got super good at just planning for every possibility. So I always knew what to do. I had a fear of not having enough and never feeling, and the result of not having enough, fear of not having enough is never feeling satisfied, which allowed me to always work harder. These survival strategies, they're at the time of inception, they're genius. They help us to live. They help us to stay alive. They help us to maintain resources, but there are unintended side effects in this day and age, in this modern world. Here were the side effects that I realized from them. And while the SD survival strategies got me into schools and great companies, I realized they were not beneficial for intimacy, for growing a business, or living with balance and fulfillment. And so preparing every word led me to not being able to connect deeply. Learning to say the right thing, always having the right thing to say, led me to not actually speaking my truth in the moment. Doing it alone led to limits in ability to grow. Planning for all the possibilities, the problem was when a possibility happened that wasn't in what we were planned for, which leads to big stress. And the side effect of never feeling satisfied, well, that's just never feeling satisfied. And so with this new paradigm, this new way of looking at behavior, I am curious for you. I'd like you to take a moment, and don't worry, we're going to bring this full circle. I'd like you to take a few moments and write out from the level of awareness that you have right now, what are some current survival strategies, or even maybe past survival strategies that you've healed? What are some survival strategies that you have operated under or are operating under?
Matt, I just want to say I really appreciate the way that you broke that down, like the struggle, strategy, survival, and unintended side effects. I haven't thought of it like that before. And I also really love how you emphasize that all of this has just been like a survival strategy, like at the root of everything, which is, we're all well versed in the chakra system now, like at that root chakra level, all that we want is to feel safe. And so what we've been doing in this whole spiritual journey, healing journey, meant for more journey is like unraveling everything that we thought was creating safety for us, but had these unintended side effects. So well done. I really appreciate that. I haven't thought of it like that before. So thank you for the reframe.
Thank you. Yeah, it just honestly just came to me one day on a plane. It's like, oh, this is how everything works. If you need guiding questions to help you unlock or gateways to get into this, where did you experience trauma, loss, pain? How did this affect your beliefs? How do those beliefs affect your behaviors? And you can feel free to play with it. Write down whatever's coming to you. If you don't know, that's okay too.
Can you just expand on what you mean by how do you compensate?
Yeah. Basically, if some people, you can tune into different, like, it's easier for some people to tune into different pieces of this. So sometimes, like, if you can identify the trauma or the pain and what fear that caused, and then how you compensated for that fear, or what fear that caused, fear of not being liked. Okay, I compensated in that way to learn the right thing to say every single time. That was my compensation mechanism for this deep underlying fear that I had.
Thanks.
Love to hear whenever anyone's ready. What is a survival strategy that you've maybe identified in this program and have been working on, have fully healed, or still working with?
So since this is just a more like personal one, I'm happy to share my reflections in case that just like helps inspire others to open up. Matt, I love this journal reflection. Again, thank you. And as everybody knows, like my story and whatnot, but my trauma, of course, was from the moment that I was born and being abandoned by my birth family. That's the trauma that happened, and how that affected my beliefs then turned into I'm not wanted, I'm not chosen, love is conditional, love always leaves me, I'm not safe. Those are the beliefs that came from the trauma. And how that affected my behaviors, or how I compensated, was that I was unintentionally constantly chasing. I was constantly manipulating, controlling others, not in an ill-intentioned manner, and not in like obviously an abusive, toxic manner, or actually, sorry, not in an abusive manner. But yes, there was toxicity to that because I was doing so out of my survival, out of the need for survival. And how I compensated for that, I was always the one to make the plans. I always texted people first. I always was just on the chasing end of things and never letting things unfold for me. I felt like I had to be the one doing everything, planning everything, putting everything together, because I felt like if I wasn't there, then nobody else would be. Similarly, in relationships, if I wasn't there for my partner who had needs greater than mine, then nobody would be there for him. And I think that was when it comes to like my professional field too. It's no wonder that I ended up as a special education teacher, teaching and working with the children who needed the most help out of anybody, because I felt like if I wasn't there helping them, then they wouldn't make it. And so part of my healing journey and stuff, and it's actually pretty wild that I was able to walk away from teaching, because in the past there would have been that deep shame of, well, if I'm not there for them, if I'm not their teacher, they're not going to survive. And so that's just kind of the gist. I hope that helps.
That's great, and segues right into our next portion beautifully of how these survival strategies can become superpowers, as you've started to get into there, Deb. So I think this is the most beautiful
Sorry,
part.
I didn't know if anybody else wanted to share. I wanted to like just kick it off, but if somebody else wanted to share, please do.
I'd love to share only because
Cool.
only because I don't know if I did it right, but I wrote about my fear of disappointing myself, and my strategy for that is to not always put in my millionth percent effort so that if something doesn't happen, then I can be protected. And I didn't really know what to say for survival, like that I'm never disappointed. So yeah, I don't know if I did it right, but the side effect of all that is that I never really reach my true potential because I'm always just afraid of being disappointed.
Got it. So because basically you would fear you used to put in so much effort that I'm trying to understand. So your way was to not put in full effort so you couldn't disappoint yourself. Is that it?
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay.
trying to say.
Got it. That's an interesting one. Hold on. Let me sit with that for a sec.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the ego always has oh well, I didn't try my hardest, so I can't be upset with the results here.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And I'm curious what the shift is to that, and that's where we're headed. So thank you guys for sharing. We'll just keep going so we can fully go through this all, and everyone can reflect, and we'll have some time in the end to do some more squad reflections. The beauty of all of this is that while these are survival strategies, when we become aware of them and can shift out of them, we harness a new superpower. When we are able to shift out of them as well, we gain a new capacity to help others move through what we've healed through, what we've integrated, and who we've become. We're able to help other people to a greater degree through what we've been through these strategies. And so now we bring it all together. We got clear on what we wanted. We got super clear on the strategies that are in the way, that are blocking us from getting towards what we wanted. And now we can talk about the method that we can use to take these roadblocks and actually turn them into superchargers. So here is the next part. If you remember before, we had struggles of fears, which led us to strategies, which led us to being able to survive. But now we get into, and then we have unintended side effects from those strategies. Here's where we can move into shift. So one of my strategies, because I feared not knowing what to say, was preparing every word. And what that led to was me not being able to connect to people deeply because I would just have this prepared speech of stuff. And so my shift there was transitioning from this preparation into presence, into going from intellectual conversation to leading with instinct intuition. That's something I had to learn. I learned that from this survival strategy. And the superpower there is gaining an intuitive ability to authentically communicate. Learning to say the right thing because I feared saying the wrong thing and upsetting others. I had to really dive into in this healing journey of speaking my truth, even though I feared that I might not be loved because of it. And it's really led to this ability to set boundaries and have deep relationships beyond anything I had in my first 28 years of life. For my first years in business, I was doing it all alone. Yes, I would hire people, but I still would have trouble delegating. And what I had to really lean into here was that I had protectors in front of my heart. My heart space was closed. And so when I was able to get in there and crack that open, it led to a complete new capacity for intimacy, leadership, growth on every level. Getting out of the planning, shifting from planning, was to dive into the unknown. And when you have that ability to plan, but you're able to be in the unknown. That leads to confidence in every situation. Then from not feeling satisfied, as opposed to prioritizing achievement, I started to prioritize energies, prioritize presence, which led to the superpower of being happy, but also productive and having power in the present moment. And so just to provide a few other more concrete examples of how this can work in real life, to jog your gears to see how it is working for you. I use a couple examples. One is my business partner, Chet, who Devin knows very well. So Chet was an immigrant from the UK, and as an immigrant, he had a difficult time relating culturally. And so his survival strategy was to fit in at all costs. And so what he would do is take the focus off himself, and he would just ask people questions. He'd get really, really good at connecting with people through getting to know them and getting them to speak about things that they love. Not valuing himself, but putting all the value on the other person. His shift was starting to really own his self-worth. And the superpower that came out of all this was exceptional intuition and communication, which led to him being a world-class marketer and a best-selling author. So just a really close to heart example of someone who was able to turn their deepest, darkest, most limiting strategy into a superpower. And then my friend and client Caitlin, when she was young, she had sexual trauma, and this led her survival strategy was to get out of the body, to like get her awareness out of the body, to repress emotions, work harder, and just numb. And I totally get I get all of those things in a different way, but if you're able to repress your emotions and just keep working, then you're able to keep going. And that's a way for you to survive. But she realized at some point that she was disconnected and burnt out, and started to shift into her spiritual journey, her healing journey, her growth journey, which was finding connection within her body and her emotions. And as she started to do that, as she started to uncover all this that which was not her, and bring her soul back into her body, she started to gain this skill to help other people do that, to help other people liberate from their past pains, to help other people be themselves in their body, to feel connection with their mind, their body, their spirit. And it led her to being an incredibly successful coach and just a super happy human. So these are just two examples I love. And now I want to bring this full circle. You look at what you wrote for number 2. I'm curious for you. What superpowers have you developed from your survival strategies? Some questions to help you get there if it's not readily apparent. When you're at your best, how do you help other people? When you're helping another human and it's easy and you're in flow, what are you doing? Where is your work and your world most fun? I'll give you some time on this one. Anyone would like to share? Would love to hear about your shifts, superpowers you developed.
I can share.
Jen.
For me, I think, yeah. One of the biggest things, like my biggest trauma thing as a kid was growing up with ADHD and constantly feeling like there's something innate, like there's something ingrained in me that's wrong or different, or there's something off, and that I'm not going to be successful because of that thing. And now I'm a special ed teacher, and I'm very successful, and I find that I connect with the kids well because I can put myself in their shoes. So that kind of superpower of empathy and connectability with kids who also have disabilities or adults. And I think that can like tie into spirituality, and I think that would be really cool. Tie all those
Awesome.
together.
Yeah, really awesome example there. How, yeah, something that someone told you became that program that you worked with your whole life and limited to you, and but you turned it into something absolutely amazing and helping other people with it.
I can share.
You got it.
So for me, it was being told that school was the only way to be successful and that my empathy wasn't going to get me anywhere. That caused the fear of not being good enough, not being successful enough, making my father proud. So I ended up being in the wrong field. I was in school to become a dentist. I hated school, hated doing that. But there was always that shame, fear, and disappointment. My shift was learning to trust myself, figuring out what I wanted. And my superpower, which I'm stepping into thanks to Devin and Matt, is using my intuition and my empathy for the work that I do with others, helping them become better versions of themselves.
Like magic.
Like magic.
Love it. Thank you, Karina.
Thank you.
Now let's bring this into some integration, implementation, and impact. What does this mean for us? So I'm going to be using the word client here. If you don't have a business, don't worry. You could just insert the word human. With some, based on what we've learned here, something that has been just a directive of mine since I learned this phrase. I think my business partner coined it. Your best client is former you. The person that you could help most powerfully is former you. Speaks to what Jen was just mentioning there. It's just one of the things that we can always know is that what we've been through is what we can serve through. We can always help people through what we've been through, and we know that we're empowered to make a massive impact regardless of where we are, of what situation we're in, of really anything. We can always channel ourselves to impact, knowing that we can always help people who are 2 steps behind where we once were. This is a big one. Write this one down, because I come back to it literally every week. The thing that you help others with is always the thing that you'll need help with. That same thing that you have shifted and now have a superpower and help others through is always what you'll need help with. The reason why you became so good at this thing is because you spent your life trying to solve this problem, answer this question, get around this fear. And so you've developed this amazing skill because of that. and you can help others through it and with it. With that being said, and I don't have any scientific explanation as further than that as to why this is, but just knowing that what you help others with is always what you'll need help with. For me, I will help others get really clear on what they want, understand what's in the way, and create a clear, compelling, enjoyable, effective strategy to get there, and then channel our mind, our body, our soul, all of our energy towards that goal. But when it comes to my own strategy and my own business and looking at my own roadblocks, I don't even try. I know I need someone to support me with it, because you can't see your own blind spots. The thing you help others with is always what you need help with. So next time you're in that place of trying to do it alone, needing and grinding through, knowing that what you give others is exactly what you need. And when it comes to building a high impact, freedom focused, ultimately fulfilling life, what I believe that this is about, just from experience and from working with clients, is playing into our superpowers, doubling, tripling down on our superpowers, and staying away from our limiters. Structuring our superpowers into our life and our world, and structuring in ways that we can mitigate, become aware of our own limitations, those survival patterns when they come up. And that's the energy work that Devin's taking you through. And the impact, the greatest point of impact, it lies at when you know your own superpower, and you know who needs your superpower. You know how you serve with your superpower, and you know what they need. That point right there, that is the point of maximum impact between two people. And so just having that knowledge, just knowing that when you can double down on your superpowers, on your strengths, on the things that you've moved through and healed and integrated, and can help the people who need those most, you'll create impact. And as a byproduct of impact, you'll be able to create income with your superpower. Something interesting about this concept of superpower is that where you operate naturally and easily, yet make the most impact, that is when you're in your superpower zone. And the thing here, which is difficult for us, is because we've been ingrained from school and society that hard work is good, that we make money from work. And so oftentimes when we're in that flow state of helping another person, we don't value it like we do creating a spreadsheet of numbers, because that's way harder, or like digging a hole in the yard, because that's harder. But in reality, our greatest impact lies at that point of what's easy for us to do to help another human. And that's that point where we actually should be creating the most impact and making the most income from. And so that's something just to note. You don't need to change anything or do anything with it, but you can think about that. Where you operate most easily, effectively, naturally, in flow, making a big impact, transforming a life, that's probably in your superpower zone, and that is valuable work, the most valuable. Next prompt, final prompt. How can you further align your life and business, if you have one, with your superpower? What in your life gives you energy, promotes that flow state? How can you do more of that? What zaps your energy? How can you do less of that? What superpower, big one here, are you scared to own? And just to give you an example of how to further align with your life with your superpower, I realized last week that I was taking too many calls on certain days. And so for me, just spreading out these calls, like blocking out my calendar as to when I take calls and blocking off my mornings for sacred time, that to me was a massive realignment of my life so that I can express my superpower more powerfully. So curious for you, what real life action step can you take today, tomorrow, next week to align your life with your superpower and own your superpower? I'd love to hear one share. Whoever has something they'd like to share. If anyone has anything they'd like to share.
I'll go.
Yeah, you got it.
Mine is kind of like catch-22. Can you hear me? Mine is catch-22 because what gives energy is like meditating, being on a slow schedule, and kind of being quiet and calm. And what zaps my energy is kids, ironically. And they just pull all of the energy out, and it's pretty overwhelming. So trying to figure out how to somehow balance helping kids and also valuing my time and my energy.
What are some possible strategies that you haven't tried yet that you could try?
Leave teaching, I think, is the number one thing. And kind of go to a, I guess, one-on-one helping kids in that way, kind of. I don't know what that business model would look like necessarily, but some kind of small group one-on-one assistance.
How is that like where you want to go? Like, are you like getting ready to leave teaching?
It's at the forefront of how I can get out. What I've been noticing for me is connection between students with autism and their connection to spirit, and how much they talk to me through, like spirit talks to me through them. So if I could tie somehow autistic parents with me and helping them communicate better with me and them, I think that would be like a big game changer.
I think you broke up a little bit. Can you say that last part again? It sounded really cool. I just missed the beginning.
Yeah, so let me try camera if that helps. Hopefully that helps with the sound and stuff. But my main idea is I've noticed that spirit can like speak to me through the kids, specifically kids with autism, and I would love to be able to help kids and parents kind of communicate in a better way, and if they're spiritual, like kind of tie all of those things together, because it's been a really eye-opening thing for me. I don't know if that's been done before, but then it could tie in my degrees with my experience and then ideally create something pretty cool.
That sounds like a life and business aligned with your superpower.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool, but I don't know how people get on board with the autism portion of things and spirituality. There's like a link, I'm sure. So.
Sounds like you're aimed in the right direction. Cool. Let's bring this home. So, yeah, when you align your life with your superpower, awesome things happen. You know, I was able to start working less but more powerfully. Business grew. Did a lot of really cool things like retreats and going to meditation immersions. Like things just started to work awesomely. The more and more I integrated my superpower into my life, but even more so, like the important thing was being able to live and work with authenticity and be my highest, greatest version of myself. And that really today is what I was hoping to share. a little bit of. And so my invitation for all of us here today is that we figured out the whole survival thing 100,000 years ago. So it's time to step into your most epic life possible while leading the evolution of humanity with your superpower. I hope that today you picked up a little something that allows you to create a little bit more impact, maybe even a big something. And I really just invite you to take action with what you're feeling called towards. It's never going to feel certain. It's never going to, there's going to be a lot of resistance up front. But when we tune into all that resistance, let's ask ourselves where it's coming from. And I bet you it's going to be coming from one of those pesky survival patterns. Knowing that when we do make the jump, we do take that action that's in alignment with our superpower and our highest way of being, it can't not turn out amazing. So thank you. And yeah, I'd love to answer any questions that I can support with for anything. Ipsita, I saw your hand's been up.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for this workshop. Like, it was really impactful, and I found a lot of it very difficult, which is a good thing. But you said something about resistance and how if you find yourself resisting, it's probably from one of these little struggles, or what did you call it? Survival strategies. So I understand that if I'm resisting something, it's likely one of these survival strategies, but what are your, I guess, how can I overcome that? Like, I'm all for logically like going through this, but that doesn't stop me from still having that feeling. So what are your suggestions on actually overcoming that resistance?
Mm-hmm. Do you have an example that I
Yes.
got some ideas, but do you have an example we can work through?
Yeah, totally. So for me, I have like all of these things in queue to like go actually. I mean, I don't even know how to explain myself, but I have all these videos that I'm in queue to edit. For some reason, I cannot get myself to like sit down and actually do it. And there's like so much resistance there that I just like, even though I love editing, there's just this part of me that doesn't want to do it. Like, I don't want to watch myself. I don't want to like have to like do it. And it's not like I haven't done it before. I've done it a million times before, but like there's just this thing that's blocking me from like actually getting things done. Does that make sense?
What are these videos for?
My YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my YouTube channel. I've made plenty of videos before. It's not that I can't do it,
Mm-hmm.
but like for some reason now I just feel like I don't know what it is really.
So I want to get clear on this too. So resistance is a interesting subject, and there's two types. I mean, you can look at it. All models are wrong. Some are useful. Let's say there's two types. One is going to come from the the survival part of us that is saying don't do this, stay comfortable. If you post these videos, you're going to be exposing yourself to ridicule. Oh, you should just rest instead of doing this work. Like, that's the survival self. But then sometimes there is real resistance that our intuition is bringing up for a good reason, saying that, hey, Ipsita, maybe you editing these videos is not a good use of your time. Hey, Ipsita, maybe like you're actually editing these videos is actually avoiding something that's more important to be doing. Maybe editing these videos, maybe someone else should be doing it. So I'm curious for you, what is the self when you sit down to edit? What's the self-talk? What comes up for you? What goes on inside you when you sit down to edit or think about editing?
It's a really good question. Yeah, a lot of it is, it's like it's so time consuming. Maybe you should have somebody else do this work. Like, or maybe it is a waste of time, or maybe there's something else better I should be doing with my time. There's always that thought of like, what's the best thing to do in this moment? And is it too spend like, because editing takes so much time. Like,
What's the outcome that you want?
I want to like have all my videos like scheduled for the rest of the year.
So beyond that, 10 steps further, what do you want the outcome of these videos having been posted and people having watched the videos? What do we want out of that?
I want for people to like, so I'm actually, this is my first time actually posting yoga videos. Like, I'm a yoga teacher now, and I'm finally for the first time actually posting yoga videos. So I want people to like practice yoga and like be able to do that without having to like pay for like a $30 class and stuff. So maybe that's my outcome, for people to actually.
What else do you want that you're not sharing?
I want to grow a following, but I don't want to admit that. Again, this goes back to fear of disappointment, and I don't know.
What else?
I want to like be able to actually do this sustainably and not have to work a full-time job.
So we want a career to actually make money off this.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
You're asking some really hard-hitting questions I wasn't ready for.
We're never ready. We're always ready. Karina's smiling. She sees me do this too much. Yeah, so I honestly, Cheetah, I think that this is your intuition telling you that you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And I don't mean wasting your time as in wasting your time. I think it's telling you that if we are to look at your highest intended goals of what you actually want, then is actually posting all these videos and having them edited and spending all of our next weeks in the trenches of studio editor, is that going to be the most effective, efficient time to get what we want in the end? And my hypothesis would be probably not. And so I think you're actually, this is probably your, maybe partially your higher self telling you that, hey, there's actually something else that could be more impactful here. It's probably scarier, but that's probably the thing to be doing instead of the easy thing, which is sitting down and editing videos.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing.
That's true. Like, I do think about that all the time, but then there's another part of me that's like, I believe in you, Cheetah. Like, I know you could do it, but then I'm like, is this a waste of time? But the thing is, I don't know what the alternative is, really. Like, I don't know what the alternative is.
So I know we're at time. I'm gonna hang around for about 5-10 more minutes. If anyone else would like to ask questions, but I want to offer this as well. I always, like, for people that I just meet, I always offer a free hour of coaching. I didn't put it on the slide, so yeah, Ipsita, like, more than happy to like continue this discussion. Jen, if you wanted to get into strategies around like that idea, I would love to chat with you about that too. So I want to just throw that out there as well. If anyone wants to connect, happy to give you guys some time. So Ipsita, I say we put that in our pocket for now and continue. Already gave you some things to work with, I think. Any other questions, thoughts, reflections?
This was so awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Leah. Appreciate it.
I know I was quiet, but I was observing and absorbing everything that you said.
I could tell. That's why I didn't poke you at all.
And I feel like I have like so many deep shower thoughts and like bathtub thoughts I need to think about, like, ponder about now.
Just let them come. They'll come.
Matt, I just wanted to say thank you. I had a little bit of resistance coming in today, and I knew
Really?
because of Matt. I like how you broke down the phases. That actually helps me organize my thoughts, my feelings, and there's a lot of feelings that came up when I was doing this work. So I mean, I'm glad we sat through this and we did it, because now I think there's a lot of things I have to go over tonight. But thank you, Matt.
Of course. Thank you for your presence and coming. And another thing, just letting everyone know too, like, you know, this is some deep stuff, and like went through it fast and hard. It wouldn't be, about impact if it wasn't, if there was any other way. I just want to share, like, there's nothing you have, like, you don't have to take these and solve them right away. You don't have to take the survival strategies and I need to shift this now. Just by you having shown up today and written this stuff down and becoming aware of it, it's already in process. It is inevitable, because you guys are here, because you joined with Devin. It is inevitable. Your awakening, your development, the healing of these patterns is inevitable. And we don't need to force the timeline of these things happening. Just this awareness, just us questioning, just Ipsita, you listening to your intuition there. Like the healing, the development, the awakening of all of these, what used to be survival patterns and struggles turning into superpowers, it's inevitable. So I want you to walk away with that, knowing that you can feel a lightness with that knowing, and enjoy that. Just allow the awareness to do its thing without having to force any changes.
Matt, this entire thing was just chef's kiss. Thank you so much. I'm really glad. I know, Leah, you weren't here in the very beginning to hear this, but I had an idea, Matt and I had an idea for this work.
Oh, Devin, I lost you.
Yeah.
Can
Not yet.
Not yet?
Now, yes.
Now, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm Wi-Fi here. Can you hear me now?
Correct. Good.
Perfect. So 11 weeks ago and before that, months ago, when we were creating this program, Matt and I thought we were taking this workshop in a totally different way. And he called me today, hours ago. Are you still with me?
Yep.
Okay. Called me hours ago. He was preparing for this presentation and he was like looking at the roadmap that you sent me, the trajectory of where you have taken your clients. I think we need to go in a different direction. And he laid it out for me. And as I mentioned, I just trusted him, trusted your vision, Matt, and you delivered above and beyond. This is like, could be presenting this to thousands, tens of thousands of people. And I'm so proud of you and I'm so honored to have you in this space. So I really thank you.
Thank you, Devin. And I will be. So thank you for connecting with that potential that already exists. That's where we're headed.